Chainsaw Charlie. That was a nickname I earned when I went through my divorce. My name is Charles Sugden. Everyone calls me Charlie or Chainsaw. After I finished my apprenticeship as a landscape gardener, I did a course to become a tree surgeon. For years later, I started my own business. My business partner was Joseph "Joe" Yates. Joe was a qualified landscaper like myself. Over the years, we worked well together and made a good living. When Joe was 25, he settled down and married Rachel. Rachel was a lovely person, and she also did our accounts for us. I was 28 and still single. That was until I met Megan Bailey. I was smitten with Megan from the start. We dated for about 6 months, then I asked her to marry me. A year after we married, Megan announced she was pregnant. 7 months later, our daughter Susan was born. I was a happy man. I had a lovely wife and daughter, a good job. Yes, life was good. Joe and Rachel became godparents to Susan as they were unable to have kids of their own. It was the next best thing for them. Our sex life had always been good. Even though we had to tone it down because of Susan, we still made love at least 4 nights a week. Megan could get very vocal when she orgasmed. Many times she screamed into a pillow. Some days I went to work exhausted from our sex session the previous night. Joe always playfully ribbed me about it. Susan was now 7 years old and Megan returned to work. As our business grew, we employed a couple of young lads to help out and learn the trade. All 4 of us were working one day when I was asked to go and look at some trees that needed cutting down on a building site. Driving to the site, I passed where Megan worked. I glanced over just in time to see her and a man get into her car. Megan didn't have to go out and travel for her job, so I wondered where she was going. I pulled in, allowing them to pass before following at a slight distance. I was surprised when she headed in the direction of our house. I parked down the street and watched as they both got out of the car and went inside. My stomach was churning as I started to think Megan was having an affair. I had to know, so I locked my truck and walked up to the house. If they were doing anything, I wanted to catch them in the act. For that reason, I went around the back to let myself in. The back door opened quietly, although I need not have worried. The noise Megan was making, I don't think they would have heard if I kicked the door in. I took my phone out ready to get some video and pictures. I realized I knew the guy Megan was fucking. It was Alan Cummings, her supervisor from work. I managed to get a few minutes of video and several pictures of him fucking Megan as she bent over the back of the sofa. "Well, what do we have here?" I yelled. "Oh fuck." Cummings gasped as he pulled up his trousers and headed for the door. I went to kick his arse, but missed. Cummings was out the door and gone. Megan stood there staring at me as if I was in the wrong. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. 6, maybe 7 years. I knew Alan before we got married. 6 fucking years, and I never had a clue. Fuck, I must have been dumb not to have seen the signs. "You weren't dumb, Charlie. We were just very careful. What I have with Alan is just recreational sex, nothing else. He has a big tool and I like fucking him. This doesn't have to change anything between us. I still love you as much as I did when I first met you. You love me. You love me, and I come home to find you fucking that bastard. It is going to change things between us, Megan. You can move your stuff into the spare room until I decide what to do. Don't be surprised if I decide to go for a divorce." "You won't do that, Charlie. If you divorce me, I will get the house, half of your business, and custody of Susan. As you earn more than me, I will probably get spousal support as well." Megan smiled at me. "Just move your shit into the spare room." "Oh, and tell that cunt next time I see him he is as good as dead." I stormed out of the house and walked back to my truck. It was then that I remembered where I was supposed to be. Luckily, I calmed down on the drive to the building site. I had a chat with Mark about the trees and quoted him a price to cut them down, as well as remove the stumps. Mark was an old friend who built high-spec houses. We usually cleared the site of any trees and did any landscape work that was required. Over the years, we had both passed work onto each other. Mark was loaded due to the high price of the houses he built and sold. Back on our job site, Joe knew there was something bothering me, but he chose not to ask what. That was a wise choice, as I really wasn't in the mood to discuss it. When I arrived home, Susan was watching television. Megan was in the kitchen cooking dinner. I kicked off my boots and went upstairs for a shower. I noticed she hadn't moved her stuff into the spare room, so I did it for her. Dinner was a quiet affair with only Susan talking to me or Megan. Later that evening, when Susan was in bed, I sat watching the television. Megan joined me as we sat in silence. I wasn't going to speak to her, that was for sure. "So are you over your hissy fit?" "Fuck off, Megan. There's no need to be like that, Charlie. I told you what I have with Alan needn't come between us. You must be off your head, Megan. There is no way I am going to stay married to you and allow you to fuck that bastard whenever you want. I don't intend to stay married to you anyway. Not now I know what a slut you are." That's your choice, Charlie. Just remember what I said earlier about you divorcing me. I couldn't listen to any more of her shit, so I went upstairs to bed. Megan followed a short while later. As soon as she walked into the bedroom, I turned her around and pushed her towards the spare room. I called Joe and told him I wouldn't be working the next day as I had some stuff to sort out. Again, Joe didn't ask, but told me to call him if I needed any help. Megan left the house to take Susan to school and then go to work. I spent my time finding out where Alan Cummings lived. The bastard was married with 2 young kids. I decided to pay Mrs. Cummings, or Ellen as she told me to call her. She was upset but not surprised. I have suspected for a while that Alan was screwing around on me. I just never had the proof until now. Ellen, I am sorry, but I thought you should know. Thank you. Now, what do you intend to do, Charlie? I am going to divorce Megan. I can't live with her knowing she has lied to me for the last 6 years or so. She seems to think we can get past this, but I am not made that way. I'll be divorcing Alan as well. Luckily, we have a prenup as most of the money is mine through an inheritance. When you see your husband, please give him a warning from me. Tell him if I see him, then he will not get away this time, and it will be very painful for him. Ellen nodded and smiled. I think she wanted her husband beaten up to teach him a lesson. That night, I didn't say a word to Megan. I spent time with Susan before we ate dinner in silence. When Susan was in bed, Megan tried to cozy up to me and initiate sex. I pushed her away. Stay the fuck away from me. But Charlie, I want to show you that what I have with Alan is just sex. Good sex, but it's just sex. I want to make love to you. After all, you're my husband. I don't want your skanky arse anywhere near me. As for me being your husband, well, I won't be for much longer. I got up, grabbed my keys, and left the house. I needed to speak to Joe. I told Joe and Rachel everything, including the fact that I was going to divorce Megan. But she will get everything if you divorce her maid. She won't get the business as I am going to sell my half. If I have anything to do with it, she won't get fuck all from me. Oh, great. So now I have to find a new business partner. Please, Charlie, think about what you are doing. Don't worry, Joe, you won't have to find a new partner as I'm going to sell you my share of the business. But we can't afford that, Charlie. Rachel replied. Don't worry, Rachel. I will sell it to you for £5. I will buy it back from you for £10 when the divorce is settled. Joe laughed as he realized what I was doing. Rachel was worried, but Joe assured her it would be okay. I hoped it would be okay as I didn't fancy giving Megan anything. Look, all you have to do is pay me a salary that's slightly below what I earn now. Any difference can sit in the bank and we can sort it out once we become partners again. Joe and Rachel agreed with my plan, and I left them to go home. I promised to get a solicitor on the case in the morning. Megan was in bed when I arrived home. That was a bonus as I didn't want to speak with her. I looked in on Susan and suddenly had a nasty thought. If Megan had been fucking this guy for all those years, was Susan mine or his? I found the cotton buds and swabbed the inside of her cheek. I used another bud for myself and put them into separate bags. Tomorrow, I will drop them off to get them tested. The lawyer we used for company business recommended a solicitor for my divorce. As they knew each other, I managed to get to see him the same day. The news was not good. Mr. Sugden, I am afraid that your wife will be entitled to spousal support, child support, and you will probably end up paying the mortgage on a house you are not living in. Are you sure there is no way you can work this out? Not a chance. She has lied to me for the last 6 years that I know of. There is no way I am staying married to her. I told him what I wanted the terms to be. I can set it up for you, but I must warn you that no judge will allow you to walk away on those terms. Set it up. We can argue about it later. When can you have her served? If I file the papers tomorrow morning sometime after lunch, I would think. Good. Have her served at work, please. I passed him a slip of paper with Megan's work address on. You had to do it, didn't you? You had to tell Alan's wife. Now she has kicked him out of the house. Megan screamed at me that evening when I arrived home. Good. It's no more than he deserves. Just remember, Charlie, you started this. I started it. How the fuck did you work that out? I wasn't the one fucking someone else. You were. Yes, and I told you it was just sex. It hasn't changed my love for you. Maybe not, but it has changed my love for you. I have no love for you anymore. That went out the door the day I caught you fucking Alan Cummings. Now do me a favor, fuck off and leave me alone. I stormed upstairs to my office, slamming the door behind me. I went online and moved money around at the bank. I left just enough in the account so Megan could make one mortgage payment. The rest went into an account in my name at a different bank. I paid off and canceled all the credit cards. Feeling satisfied, I called Joe. Joe, can I crash at your place for a few days, mate? You no problem, Charlie. You can stay as long as you like. I ignored Megan as I packed my stuff. I took all my clothes, toiletries, and anything else I wanted. Megan didn't say a word. She just watched me with a smirk on her face. Everything that was mine went into boxes or bags. Some was going into storage, and some went with me to Joe's place. I tried calling to speak to Susan, but she refused to talk to me. Joe and Rachel said I was welcome to stay with them and come and go as I pleased. We were both at work the next day. Nothing was said to the other guys who worked for us. Just after lunchtime, I got a call from Megan. "You bastard. You absolute bastard. Not happy with getting Alan kicked out of his house. Now you have the balls to serve me with divorce papers. I warned you, Charlie. You won't win." Later that day, I got the news from the DNA tests. It confirmed that Susan wasn't my daughter. Joe said he was sorry. Megan got a solicitor and argued every point on the papers I had served her. Eventually, after refusing to meet with her, I got summoned to appear in court. After a brief hearing, the judge ordered me to pay her enough money every month to cover the mortgage and several bills. I left the court with no intention of paying Megan a fucking penny. I found out through a neighbor that Cummings had moved in with Megan. I wasn't surprised at that snippet of news. Megan called and messaged me daily asking when I was going to give her the money. I ignored all of her calls and texts. "Charlie, you will have to pay her something." "What about Susan?" Rachel asked one evening. "I am not paying that bitch a penny. As for Susan, she isn't mine, so I am not paying for her either. Considering she refuses to speak to me, I am sure she knows that I am not her dad." Several weeks later, I was back in court. The judge did not look impressed. "Mr. Sugden, several weeks ago you were ordered to pay your estranged wife money on a regular basis. From what I see in front of me, you have not made a single payment. Would you care to explain why?" "Yes, Your Honor. I am in the process of divorcing my wife for having an affair for the last 6 years with her supervisor, the same man that she has moved into the house. As for paying child support, I will not pay for a child that isn't mine." Megan never flinched when I said that. The bitch must have known all along I wasn't Susan's biological father. "Mr. Sugden, these matters will be sorted out in good time. Now I am ordering you to pay your wife the money she is due." "Nope, not going to happen, Your Honor. This is not your choice to make, Mr. Sugden. You will pay that money to your wife before 5 p.m. today or face the full force of the law." I left the court and went to see Joe. I told him I was going to disappear for a while. By now, Joe knew I wasn't going to roll over no matter what a judge said. I went to the bank and withdrew some money, just enough to keep me going for a while. I traveled to Holland and spent a month seeing the sights. I did manage to get laid while I was there. When I returned to the UK, I was arrested within an hour of being at home. I smiled as the police led me away. Rachel was nearly in tears, but Joe talked to her and calmed her down. It was nice to know I had friends looking out for me. My failure to pay Megan and my sudden disappearance cost me a month in prison. I didn't care as I couldn't very well pay Megan from a cell. Megan visited me once and begged me to help her out financially. "How? Do you think they have an ATM here? Piss off, Megan. I never want to see you again." I got up and returned to my cell. Most of the other inmates thought my stance was great and told me to carry on sticking it to the bitch. One inmate approached me. Apparently, he wasn't happy with my popularity. "I don't like overly popular people. You seem very popular right now, dickweed. And here I am known as Hacksaw. You had better stay out of my way." I stared at the guy for a moment. "I'm sorry I am popular and it upsets you." I smiled and walked away. Strangely, Hacksaw never bothered me again. When I was released, Joe picked me up and we went for a beer. Megan came round to see us the other week. What did she want, Joe? "Money. She wanted me to give her some of your share of the business. She was really pissed off when she found out you didn't own it anymore." Joe was laughing as he told me. I still hadn't paid Megan a penny and she was calling me every day to whine about not having any money. "You and that bastard are still working. I'm sure you can cover it between you." I hung up and switched my phone off. Several days later, I saw Alan Cummings outside a store. I pulled up across the road. "What Cummings?" I yelled at him. His face turned white and he sprinted to his car. I stood beside my truck laughing at the cowardly bastard. The solicitors were still trying to get me to sit down and work out an agreement with Megan. I kept refusing to meet or failing to turn up for the meetings they arranged. Eventually, I got so pissed off I lost it with the system. Call it revenge or a moment of madness, but I got what I wanted. I waited until the house was empty before going inside. I turned off the water, gas, and electricity. Apart from Susan's stuff, I smashed everything I could with a sledgehammer. All the furniture fell victim to my chainsaw. When I had finished, the sofa along with both armchairs were useless. I cut up the bed and wardrobes as well. The inside of the house was a complete mess. There was broken glass, sawdust, and the filling from the furniture all over the place. I locked the door behind me as I left. I had just finished eating dinner with Joe and Rachel when there was a knock at the door. Joe answered it. "The police want a word with you, Charlie." The officer looked at me. "Mr. Charles Sugden?" he asked. I nodded a reply. "You are under arrest for criminal damage. Please stand up, sir." I stood up as they cuffed me and walked me to the police car. At the police station, I refused to say anything until my solicitor was there. My solicitor advised me not to be funny. Apparently, I was in serious trouble. After a barrage of questions, I was charged with criminal damage and willful destruction of property. I didn't see how they could do that as it was my stuff to damage anyway. In court, I was asked how I plead to the charges. "Not guilty," was my reply. The judge asked how I could reply not guilty. "Easy, Your Honor. The stuff I damaged was mine, and I can do what I like with it." "That may as well be, Mr. Sugden. As you were not living in the property, your wife needed the damaged appliances and furniture to maintain a basic standard of living. If she wants to sit on a chair, then let her buy it." My solicitor put his head in his hands. My stance did me no good as I was given a 1 year in prison, suspended for a year. The judge explained that I need to earn money to pay Megan. I was ordered to pay Megan 10 grand for the damage. She got 2 grand, with a promise of the balance in a month. If I had anything to do with it, she was never going to see any more money from me. The local newspaper picked up the story. I was never asked to contribute to the story. Megan managed to get her opinion printed. According to her, I was a madman who should be locked up. I called the reporter and told him that she was a slut who deserved everything she got. I still hadn't paid Megan any more money. This was when my nickname was printed for all to see. The headline was "Chainsaw Charlie's Side of the Story." I did get to talk with the reporter at some length. The following week, my side of the story was printed. Megan wasn't happy about it. Cummings refused to make any comment. He was busy dealing with his own divorce. A few weeks later, Mark invited Joe and myself to a party at his house. It was to celebrate his wife's 40th birthday. "Bring your wives," he said. I laughed and told him I was getting a divorce. "No matter, Charlie. There will be a few single women there as well." He laughed before driving off. Mark's party gave me a good opportunity to get back at Alan Cummings. I knew he played golf every other Saturday. The day of the party was his golfing day. I gave the 2 lads who worked for us $1,000 each, with specific instructions. "I just want him beaten up badly. Pay particular attention to his crotch. Whatever you do, don't kill him for fuck's sake." They both smiled and assured me they knew what I wanted them to do. The party was a chance to get out and relax. I told Joe and Rachel to enjoy themselves and not to worry about me. A few single women talked to me for a short while. That was until Mark introduced me to his wife's youngest sister. Janice, or Janice she preferred, was 32 and recently divorced with a child, a boy who was 6 years old. She threw her old man out when she found out he was fucking his secretary. I told her why Megan and I were getting divorced. "Ah, so you are the infamous Chainsaw Charlie," she laughed. "Yeah, that's me." I smiled at her. Jan and I spent the rest of the evening talking and getting to know each other. I must have impressed her as she said yes when I asked for a date the following weekend. On the drive home, Joe commented that I spent a lot of time with one lady. Rachel told him to stop teasing me about it. Sunday morning, Joe and I were discussing the workload for the week when the doorbell rang. Rachel answered the door and sighed. "Charlie, it's the police for you." "For fuck's sake. Now what?" I groaned as I walked to the door. 2 detectives entered the house. The older one spoke to me. "Mr. Sugden, do you mind if we ask where you were at about 8:30 last night?" "Nope, I don't mind. I was at a party all night. Well, actually, I was there from about 7 p.m. until just after midnight." "Is there anyone who can verify this?" "Yes. These 2 people, several other guests whose names I don't know." "Oh, you can ask this lady as she spent most of the evening with me." I passed him Jan's phone number. He passed it to his colleague who stepped outside. "So what's this all about?" "Last night at approximately 8:30, Mr. Alan Cummings was attacked and badly beaten. Like I said, I was at a party. It had nothing to do with me." The other officer stepped back inside and nodded. Jan had confirmed my story. I asked how badly Cummings was hurt. "A fractured jaw, 2 teeth missing, a broken arm, several broken ribs, and a crushed testicle. We know there is a history between you both, so we had to ask, especially as your estranged wife said it was probably you." "Yeah, well, she would say it was me. Seems like everything wrong in her life is my fault." I never heard from the police again about Cummings getting beaten up. I don't think they have any idea who it was. Megan still kept calling me for money. I just kept hanging up on her. Ellen Cummings let me know that her divorce was almost sorted, Her ex-husband would be in the poorhouse for a few years. A month later, Megan and I were in court for the divorce hearing. She had dropped her demand for child support, and I refused to pay her spousal support as she and Cummings were both working. She got the house and the mortgage payments. The judge said if it was ever sold, the equity was to be split 70-30 between us in Megan's favor. I had it written that Megan was not going to be able to chase me for money in the future. The sting was I had to pay the £8,000 outstanding from the previous court appearance. With the divorce settled, I bought back my share of the business for £10 as agreed. Rachel refused to take the £10 from me. Megan found out, but it was too late to do anything about it. Jan and I continued to date, and I had developed really strong feelings for her. Thankfully, she felt the same way about me. 3 months later, I moved out of Joe's house and moved in with January. Adam, her son, was a good kid, and we got along really well. His father saw very little of him, so at the weekend, I spent a lot of time playing football and whatever games 6-year-old kids play. I did hear through the grapevine that things were not well between Megan and Cummings. He was still having trouble with his pecker. It appeared he was having a lot of trouble getting it up and keeping it up. 3 years after my divorce, I was still living with January. After a vigorous sex session one Sunday morning, Jen said Megan must have been crazy to give me up. That boosted my ego. 2 months later, I asked Jan to marry me, and she accepted. Ironically, about the same time, Cummings left Megan and moved into a small apartment on his own. Without his salary, she had to put the house up for sale. I didn't know for sure, but I wondered if his dick was still not working properly. I don't know where Megan moved to, and I don't care either. I did get my share of the equity in the house. I used some of it to pay for our wedding. Joe was my best man. Jan and I ended up having a child. Our daughter Amy was born 18 months after we married. We were out as a family one day when we saw Megan and Susan. I didn't even stop to talk. Megan stared as we all walked past her and Susan. Jen called out a thank you to Megan. Thank you for what? Megan called back indignantly. For casting Charlie aside. He's a loving husband and father. You didn't know how good you had it. We walked off, leaving Megan doing a goldfish impression.
Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.